I have begun the recording of this session and I'm going to share my screen with you. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Then let's begin. For our class on Wednesday, I uploaded notes related to dependency model of mass communication, and I asked students to read it. However, I am going to explain this dependency model to you here, and with that, I hope it will make more sense. Uh, Again, as you can see on the screen, this model is one of the effects model of mass communication. Like I have been saying many times earlier, that effects model have special place within the field of mass communication because many scholars have been interested in studying effects of mass communication. For example, some scholars are interested in studying how does violence that is portrayed on media, how does that violence affect audience or children, or maybe let's say adolescents. Similarly, some people are interested at how do stereotypes promoted by dramas or promoted by movies are affecting people at large. So studying effects have been very, very important. And similarly, there are effects of advertisements as well. Nobody can deny that. So what I'm trying to say here is that if studying effects of mass communication has been very important and has been of particular interest for communication scholars. And let me tell you very briefly, what does this dependency model say? The dependency model means that the more an individual consumes media, the more an individual is exposed to media content, the more dependency he or she develops toward media content. Does it all make sense? Does it make sense, Ghazal?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So for example,
Yes, ma'am.
the more I am depending on news media to get to know what is happening in politics, what is happening in the field of economics in Pakistan, the more, it will have more effect on me. And we will talk more about this in coming slides, and it will become further clear to you. Okay? All right, this is my next slide now. I have taken this quote from another book. I did not take it from the book that I have been using for my lectures and the same book that I have been using for sharing notes with you. However, this quote is very interesting, and I think this quote explains media system dependency theory very well. What does it say? It says media system dependency theory asserts that the more a person depends on having his or her needs met by media use, the more important will be the role the media play in the person's life. Okay? So again, it says pretty much the same thing that I just explained. The more we depend on media, the more effect it will have in our lives. Has it ever happened to you that you're like, okay, I'll give you an example from my my personal experience. I'll give you my son's example, or then I'll give you my daughter's example as well. My son currently is 11 years old. When he was 4 or 5 year old, he watched that movie, How to Train Your Dragon. Now, how many of you have watched that movie, How to Train Your Dragon? It's a famous children's movie. Yes, very good. Many people are raising their hands. It's a famous movie. It was made by DreamWorks, and even they have a series of shows that are available on Netflix. So I was saying my son watched that movie when he was only 4 or 5 years old, and he liked that movie, and soon after that he watched that movie multiple times. So you see, the more he was watching, the more he was into it. And what do I mean by what he was into it is that he started his toys like flying like he's a dragon. And whenever I would ask him, what are you doing, he would say that this toy, like for example, if he's playing with a car or with a plane or anything, a toy plane, he would say, well, this is a dragon and I'm trying to fly it. And he would also create sounds with his mouth as though a dragon is flying. So what I'm trying to say here is that the more you consume media, the more you are involved, the more you are engaged, and consequently the more it is affecting you. And the same thing happens with my daughter as well. My daughter is younger than my son, and whenever she would watch a movie, any movie, any cartoon movie, she would ask us to get her toys related to that movie. And she has, consequently, of course, she has a range of dolls because she has been watching all those Barbie movies. Again, this explains what I have been saying. The more you use media, the more you consume media, the more you are into it. So you kind of start developing a level of dependency. I gave you examples of children. I gave you example of my son and my daughter. However, this happens with adults as well. The more you watch a particular advertisement, ultimately you may find yourself being convinced. All right, well, this idea or this product does seem interesting. Let's go for it, or let's give it a try. This may happen. Okay. Any questions so far? Can I proceed? Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the kind and degree of this dependency will vary according to two main conditions. What it says here is that the dependency that people develop on media, it depends on two things, two factors. First is the degree to which a society is undergoing change, and second is the degree to which media are important. Acha, ek baat hai. So in the societies where there is change happening constantly, media plays a significant role. This has happened in case of Pakistan as well. Whenever there is conflict or any situation of instability, uh, you may have observed that people will almost be glued to their TV sets to know, to see, okay, let's see how things are unfolding. Let's see how the situation is proceeding. In war-torn countries, for example, Afghanistan, Yemen, and all that, since the situation, the surroundings overall are unstable, people largely depend on media to get to know what is happening in their surroundings. So what this says is that in unstable societies, the level of dependency increases. The same thing has happened in Pakistan. In 2000, there was a very bad earthquake in 2005, and that is a situation of instability. And of course, many people were watching TV, were reading newspapers to know, okay, what has been the magnitude of destruction of earthquake that has happened in northern areas of Pakistan, and especially Kashmir, because Kashmir was a hard hit area. Similarly, I remember quite vividly when this 9/11 happened in 2001. Although it happened in a very distant place, that happened in the New York City. And when this happened, people were glued to TV, even my family members. So that was a situation of instability. That was a situation of conflict as well. People assumed that situation as though the United States was being attacked or something, and people were glued to TV. People were totally dependent on media to get to know, okay, what is happening there. So the more a society is unstable, the level of dependency increases. The more instability, the more dependency. Okay? All right. The degree to which media are important or central as an information source. Okay, those societies where media is the only source, only or the important source of information, for those societies, of course, media plays a very important role and the dependency level increases. Uh, Now, how many of us have been to, let's say, Arab world, or how many of us have ever been to Amazon forests in Brazil? Okay? But of course, we see maybe nobody. But what we know about Amazon forest is whatever our knowledge is about Amazon forest, it's all coming from media. See, in this case, we are dependent on media. because if I haven't been to Amazon forests, um, I of course do not have any knowledge, and all my knowledge is coming from media, and here my level of dependency increases. And in that case, media plays an important role as a central and source of information. Similarly, Hollywood, you all watch Hollywood movies. There is no denying of that fact. We all watch Hollywood movies. They have been quite popular, and nowadays we all are watching Netflix movies. So, and Netflix movies are also, of course, they are made in Hollywood. So, Hollywood in people's lives across the world has played an important role in letting, in not, I mean, in kind of creating images for the rest of the public. Okay? I'll show you an example here. All right. There is this famous movie Aladdin. In English, they call it Aladdin. Uh, I'm not talking about the movie Aladdin, which is a motion picture which came out in 2019. I'm talking about the movie Aladdin, Disney's movie Aladdin that came out in 1990s. Remember? Does anyone remember that movie? देखी हुई है किसी ने?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you all sleepy today?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, my camera is off because I do not want, I mean, I want my class to be very smooth. I'm doing my class today from home. My children are doing their classes. And then my husband also has to teach. I certainly don't have a good internet at home. I use PTCL broadband, and it's not powerful enough to let uh, 4 people do online sessions. For this reason, I am keeping my camera off, because so that I can do a smooth class. All right. So I was talking about this movie Aladdin, and I was telling you the song. Okay, let's think about the song Arabian Nights. I was talking about the animated movie that came out in 1990s. Remember, or if maybe you can recall, or maybe when I end the class, you can find this song, the lyrics especially of this song on YouTube, and they go like this: that, oh, I come from a land where the caravan camels roam, where it's flat and immense and the heat is intense. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. So you see, that movie gained immense popularity in the US, not only in the US, in the whole world actually. And not everyone, I mean, of course, comes to Arab land. But here, this movie is kind of creating an image for Arab land, for audience, by saying that Arab is a land which is far away, where caravan camels roam. It's flat. It's the heat there is intense, and of course, heat is intense in most Arab countries. We know, in Gulf, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, in Libya, and then it's barbaric. Bedouins who are called Baddu in Urdu. So, I mean, consider their lifestyle and everything. Maybe the writer here is referring to them. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. So that movie especially was by many scholars was accused of creating images and creating stereotypes that, well, this is how you are representing Arab land to the world. And of course, who those people who have never been to Arab land, they will see the Arab land through the eyes of media. Okay? Through the eyes of this movie. I would like to share my experience here. When I was in my doctoral studies in the US, and of course I would go to conferences to many cities and many places. Once I attended a conference in Pittsburgh, and I happened to run into an Arab student, and he shared his experience with me. He was studying at University of Maryland, and he told me that in my university, in my class, students, I mean, what they know about my part of the world, of course, comes from media. And then they ask me questions like, oh, do you own a camel back home? Do you ride camels? that is this how you commute in your city or in your part of the world? So this is media's dependency level, and even that happened to me as well. I would like to share my experience. My first few months, I realized when I went to my PhD in the US, and I was there for almost 5.56 years. And first few months, I realized that many Americans were highly ignorant about my country, and they would ask me questions. All they knew about Pakistan was Malala Yousafzai. They would ask me questions like, well, oh, you are from Malala Yousafzai's country and you are pursuing your higher studies here in United States. Is your family safe back home? And those kind of things. Well, of course not. Pakistan is like that. And this is all media. I mean, what media shows, people start developing their mindsets, people start developing their conceptions according to media. And here people are thinking, well, since they have seen Malala Yousafzai on TV, and since this has created their perception about Pakistan, so they have developed this mindset that, well, people there are really brutal in terms of female education, and maybe the whole country is like that, but it's not. So this is actually this comes from our level of dependency on media. We tend to develop a dependency level on media, and that affects, of course, large term effects. All right. So this model also says that essentially there are three things that are interrelated: society, media, and audience. So society, if you are in a conservative society, traditional society, of course media is working in that society, and media will also tend to promote same sort of mindset, same sort of attitudes, and it also depends on audience. So this says that these three things actually are interrelated: society, media, and audience. Okay? So you may have noticed that in our dramas, in our movies, of course, in Pakistani dramas, in Pakistani movies, producers and directors, they do not show they do not show the content or the scenes that are related to sexual intimacy. But however, in Hollywood movies, that is quite usual. So it all comes from culture. See, our media is situated in our traditional culture, and for this reason, media, and of course, if media starts showing such things openly, that will not be very well received by audience. So this is how society, media, and audience, they are all interrelated.
Can I say something?
Any question? Someone
ma'am.
was speaking.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Vijay.
मैम अभी आपने कहा था कि हमारा मीडिया जो है वो इस तरह की चीज़ें सिर्फ नहीं दिखाता क्योंकि हमारा ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर है, तो लेकिन ट्रेडिशनलिज्म तो इंडिया के अंदर भी बहुत है, बट दे शो सच थिंग्स ऑन मीडिया.
India's culture is a bit different from ours, in the sense that well, there are two things that I can say. India, we have this sort of Islamic aura in this country, and especially Pakistan went through this phase of transformation soon after Islamization. If you take a look at the content before Islamization period, General Ziaul Haq's Islamization period, you won't see as much traditional content on media as they started broadcasting after General Zia's time period. Before him, women who would appear on TV screen, they won't cover their heads, they won't wear a dupatta over their heads. Similarly, you would see Wahid Murad's songs and many other things. But these things started changing slightly after the period of transformation, Islamization transformation period. However, now things are changing again. But to answer your question, I would say that there is cultural similarity, yes, between India and Pakistan. However, Pakistan's culture has this deep religious imprint that India's culture does not. Now, does this answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Pakistan's culture, especially after Zaulak's period, and it, it, I would say it visibly gives this Islamic sort of impression. Okay? All right. So a social system, it varies according to its degree of stability. We were talking about the idea of stability. Some societies are socially, politically more stable as compared to other societies. So, I mean, for example, Pakistan is maybe, especially the area of Punjab and Sindh, they are politically more stable as compared to areas of Pakistan that are neighboring the country Afghanistan. Media system also may vary from culture to culture, country to country. This is the same thing that I just explained, that media, uh, some societies are sort of authoritative as compared to other societies that promote libertarian views. So, for example, in some societies, and let's take the example of Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, for media to criticize Saudi monarchy, I mean, it's not something which is encouraged. However, the situation is quite the contrary from from Western countries, from European countries. So media system, of course, if it exists in an authoritarian society, they would not be very vocal, and they would not be bold against authorities. But if media exists in a democratic country, if media exists in a libertarian country, of course they may be a little bit more vocal and critical toward authorities. So media system varies from culture to culture, country to country. The dependency of audience depends largely on the nature of media in a given social system. So this is, I think, quite clear that if your media is vibrant, dynamic, vocal, of course people will be depending on media. Now I think I can explain this example with the help of comparison between PTV, Pakistan Television, and other TV channels. Many nature of media. Now you see, PTV is a state-owned channel in Pakistan, right? PTV is a TV channel which is owned by the government, and many people believe that PTV works as the mouth organ of Pakistani government. So whatever information they want to get, they would maybe prefer to get it from other TV channels as compared to PTV. PTV in past few years, especially after Tamra came into being and everything, PTV has lost its credibility to some extent. So the dependency of audience depends on nature of media in a given social system. Is this clear? Any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
G. Then audience is another element. Audience also varies from person to person, and audience, the idea of audience is complicated in the context of Pakistan. Why is it complicated? It is complicated because Pakistan is a multicultural, multilingual country, and we have channels in Saraiki languages, we have channels in Punjabi languages, we have media content in English and Urdu. So Pakistani audience is diverse. Although Pakistani media is vibrant, Pakistani media is active, however, Pakistani media also faces criticism. Pakistani media also faces restrictions from government. So this is how I would analyze Pakistani media. Three elements, actually, they are interrelated and they are important to consider. Uh, uh, it is important for us to consider these three elements whenever we're talking about the dependency level from media. This is the nature of audience, the nature of media, and then the nature of society. All right, the kind of effects that media dependency can generate. What sort of dependency we can develop on media? cognitive dependency, affective dependency, and behavioral dependency. Cognitive dependency is a sort of dependency that is connected to our mechanism of interpretation, how we interpret things, how we understand things. Okay? That is cognitive level of dependency. Affective is the meaning of this word is that you sort of develop an association with something. So it is a dependency level where you develop an association. You like it, has it ever happened to you that you would watch a particular TV show multiple times? That is an example of affective level of dependency on media. And behavioral dependency, of course, is a kind of dependency where an individual tends to change his or her behavior. Like his behavior largely depends on content coming from media, and this happens to all of us in terms of our clothing choices, in terms of our fashion choices, because they are highly affected by the content that comes our way from mass media. All right, this is the model, which was like, this is the dependency state model, which is given in the sort of diagram structure. You can see that these are three elements that are interrelated. These arrows actually explain the relationship of these elements: social system, media system, and audiences. And in parentheses, they have given the same qualities that I have just discussed. And what sort of effects it can generate? It can generate cognitive effects, affective effects, and behavioral effects. All right, with this, I have ended today's presentation, my lecture. Thank you for your attention. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I said in the beginning of the class that I will announce the date for the midterm exam. I am going to give you midterm exam on May the 28th. Okay? I do not want to totally ruin your Eid break. I understand that you were fasting first of all for the whole month, and then you were doing online classes for other subjects as well. So take a good break, then come back on May the 17th. Today was our last class before Eid break. So we will meet now on May the 17th. When you will be back, we will have classes for 2 more weeks until you take your midterm exam. The syllabus for this exam will include, sorry, wait a minute. Syllabus will include everything that we'll have covered by May 26th. Okay? Now, take some good break. When you come back, of course, I will go over the pattern, the format, everything like I did last time. And I apologize again, I haven't been able to get back to you for your assessment related to exam 1. I know that is long due, but I will try to get it done by this Eid break, inshallah. And I know that it is important for you to know your assessment, especially how I have assessed your work. Especially you can perform according to my assessment for your midterm exam. Okay? So I will get that to you soon after Eid break, inshallah. If you have any question now you can ask me, because I have 7 minutes left for this class. Ji, any question?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Ji, sure.
Ma'am, this syllabus which was covered in exam 1 is also included now in for the midterm.
Aksar beta, it is too hard for me to say anything right now because I haven't decided it myself. Most probably yes, because there isn't a lot, but I may be selective about that. But I cannot give you a certain answer at this point.
Okay.
Do you any other question? I think I will be including that syllabus because I am going to give you exam of 35 marks. this is something which is written in your syllabus as well, in your course outline. And I don't think if after first exam we have covered that much syllabus, but would be enough for a 35 marks exam. Anything else? How was your understanding related to media system dependency model? Was it easy, interesting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it was interesting.
Okay. And I know that I also need to do a makeup exam with some students, but we have time until July for this semester. I will plan it for them soon. For your midterm, I have announced the date almost 4 weeks before. No, not 4. This is my, yeah, almost 3 weeks before the actual exam. It is your job now to please confirm your availability for the exam day. Whoever comes with reasons that, ma'am, I had this reason, that reason, for this reason I couldn't take the exam, better first of all I deal with such cases case by case. But it is very much likely that in case of a makeup exam you will be losing marks, because those students who respected the deadline, who respected the date that was announced, of course they deserve better and more as compared to students who have had been a little bit laid back. If you do not have any questions, can I end the session now?
Yes, ma'am.
I have already uploaded notes. In my last class, I already uploaded notes related to model. Now I have given my lecture as well, and of course I will upload it on Moodle, and I will also upload a copy of my PowerPoint slides. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
It is highly likely that I may be a bit slow in responses during the Eid break for emails. Okay? You please bear with me. I will be traveling. I have to go see my parents. And then my in-laws are in Bahawalpur. I usually celebrate, my family and I will celebrate Eid in Bahawalpur. So I'll be traveling, and I will have intermittent access to internet. For this reason, I may be a bit slow in my responses. I'm already giving you a heads up for that. Okay? All right.
Did we have attendance?
Okay, ma'am.
Ji bete?
Did we have attendance?
Fatima will she must have taken screenshots for today, and she will send that to me shortly, I believe. All right.
I have taken the attendance. I'll be sending it to ma'am. I took it in the first 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Fatima. All right, students.
No problem.
Very happy Eid. Have a restful and productive Eid. Thank you, and
You too, ma'am.
Allah Hafiz.